Welcome to SilverC Review. I'm going to be a little darker than normal on this one, but I really liked the background and everything, so I decided to do it. This podcast will have an introduction, a movie review, a movie recommendation, some jokes and quotes, and an Inside the Intorvert section. All the times are listed down below, so if you want to skip to a certain section or just listen to a certain section, feel free to do so. Apparently I can't talk today for some reason. The sun's going down rather fast, and I'm having to work overtime at work, so I don't get off until 5 o'clock, so as long as I'm working overtime, these next few weeks might be a little bit darker than normal. I actually didn't plan on shooting right here. I was planning on shooting down further that way, but I really liked the glass look of the water. This is by far my favorite type of water. It's just so beautiful, and it's even when I'm kayaking on it, this is my favorite type to kayak on, and I don't know, I could just look at this forever. There's just something about it that's so calming to me, and I actually have a picture, a blown up poster size picture of a spot that I go to by the river each day that's got water like this. Like, the reflection is just perfect, and it's awesome. So I'm really glad I get to do a video, so that way I can always go back and watch it. I missed last week. I was on a vacation in Texas. I was riding one of the top 10 motorcycle routes in the United States. I've rode 4 of them so far, and lived to tell the tale. This one was called the Three Twisted Sisters in Texas. It's 3 ranch roads that are really curvy and everything. Lots of fun. And I had planned on doing one of the podcasts out there, but for whatever reason, when I'm on vacation, like, I don't feel like this is work, but it was just like, I don't feel like doing it. Like, I'd much rather going out and hiking and doing that instead of trying to find a place to talk, and I just couldn't get in the mindset to do it, so I ended up just skipping it. Actually, I kind of considered not even doing this anymore, but because I've said so many times that I'm going to do it until the end of the year and then switch to audio only, man on word, so I got to follow through regardless of if anyone is relying on me or not. That's just what I have to do. So I am still going to continue this. I'm so busy right now, and it's like right when I thought I would have lots of free time, just more stuff comes up. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't have my life any other way. Like, I enjoy everything I'm doing, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not really gaining anything by doing this, so my time could probably be better spent elsewhere. But like I said, I'm just going to follow through. I'm still going to switch to audio. I know at one time I said I'd probably do a year of audio. That's not true, and I'm not. That was just kind of thinking ahead, and I don't know how long I'm going to do of audio. Maybe 6 months, maybe just 3 months, I don't know. But I am going to switch to audio only in December, and just to see what that's like. And maybe 3 months, no reaction, no comments or anything like that, then I'll finally have done everything I can, so I will feel satisfied with that. Yeah, we're definitely entering the winter months, and it will have, the sun is going down much earlier. I'm not a fan of winter. There's just so many reasons. I didn't. I was gonna say, I've actually got a list on my phone why I feel like summertime is better than wintertime. But anyways, I won't complain about it too much. But yeah, that's gonna be it. We're gonna go on to the movie review. This one's gonna be Smallfoot. I really hope this is in the frame. Giving this one an 8 out of 10. There will be spoilers. Yeah, I could spoil this one, so if you haven't seen it, I mean, I highly recommend seeing it, so check it out, because I'm not going to be withholding any information about it. Sorry, I wanted to toss this out there real quick. I meant to do this in the introduction. Being a weekend, or a weekday, I don't think anyone's going to come down here, and also it's a dead end, so there's no reason for anyone to come down here. I come down here sometimes quite a bit to do photography, like when I'm bringing people like seniors and stuff, because it's got a cool area, but this isn't the right time of year really to be doing photography. So there's one time I came out here, there was how many, like 7 photographers out here. It was crazy. I didn't know any other photographers even knew about this area, because it's kind of secluded, and I didn't know about it until someone told me, and man, apparently they all knew about it and I didn't, so it was crazy. Anyways, so Smallfoot, starting off, it started off with a song that was really fun and a neat way to start it off. Kind of reminded me of Trolls. I think Trolls starts off with a song pretty early. It was neat how every single one of the Yetis was unique. Like, you think of a Yeti, they all look the same in your mind, and you've got one kind of image of a Yeti, which is kind of what the main character was. He was the classic image of what I would consider a Yeti, but it was neat how they were just all so different. It's definitely a pretty funny movie starting out. It was neat how it was reversing the roles, how they were scared of people instead of the opposite, instead of people being scared of them, even though people were scared of them. But and of course they said the title pretty early because they called them Smallfeet. I like the main character. He's honest to a fault. I have quite a bit of that in me as well, and I mean, if you don't realize what that phrase means, it means you're so honest you actually get penalized for it quite often. And I mean, that's how it was. He got thrown out of the tribe for being honest. Like, he couldn't force himself to lie. And I'm probably not like that honest. Like, if I was having to stand up for something I may or may not have seen versus getting thrown out, I don't know about that. But so he might be a little bit more honest than me. But I definitely have that to a fault. This movie really seems similar to Trolls, and it also reminded me a lot of the Lorax, but it's definitely completely different movie production companies on all three of these movies. So, but they're very similar. I like all three of them. I really love how that one Yeti was saying, "One of us, one of us." That was a good movie reference. I didn't really see the king's daughter being the leader of their little group. What would you call it? The skeptic group. That's what I'm going to call it. I really didn't think she would be the leader of it. And gravity is indeed just a theory, which they point out in the movie. That is accurate. This movie has some really great laughs. It's really funny, very entertaining to watch. I like how they animated the movements of the characters in this movie. The main area that I saw this, or that it really came to mind, was when he was singing the song, the Under Pressure song. Just the way they have him dancing and the other people dancing, and it was, I don't know, it was just real captivating. So I love how it was animated. When he's they did a really good job of making all the stereotypes of like a Yeti work into him just trying to help out. Like when he's trying to warm him up and it looks like he's roasting him on a stick, that was hilarious. And I mean, throughout the entire time, he would try to do something to help out, and if you saw it from his point of view, it completely made sense. But from the human's point of view, the Smallfoot's point of view, it was stereotypical of a Yeti that was trying to kill him. So they did a really good job of that. It was really smart. It was also very funny how humans talk like chipmunks, and it's almost like their speech is sped up, I guess, because they were trying to say that they're smaller. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, so with the leader, a lot of times people in power, they might get there because of good intentions, but then once they're there, even when they see stuff going wrong, they oftentimes want to stay in power, and that was very much this movie. I mean, the leader wanted to stay in power, whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. And it was definitely a hard decision to either tell the truth or keep lying to keep them safe. I mean, that's an incredibly hard decision, and something that I'm proud of this movie for going into. And that's really loud. Motorcycles. That's something that I'm always talking about with animated movies. How many is there? That's why I always hate the stereotype of cartoons are for kids. I mean, these movies really dive into difficult moral decisions, and that was one of them. And it's just neat seeing how his character developed and how he dealt with the problem. And it definitely is true that ignorance is bliss. I mean, once you learn something, you can't unlearn it, and a lot of times it kind of feels like suffering because you know too much or you know about something. So that's a completely true quote. I liked how it had the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man from Family Guy. Actually, they're all over the place, but that's their naming came from the Family Guy episode. I love that part. Can't say it nearly as fast or as accurately as the guy can on Family Guy. It was kind of interesting how both the Yeti and the main dude were facing, the main human, the Smallfoot, were facing moral decisions. I mean, he had the decision to expose them and gain fame and popularity, or to help them out because they helped him out. And of course, we've already discussed what the Yeti was facing, so that was really cool. I liked how they dove into both of those. And again, it's awesome for an anime movie to go into stuff like that. You don't really consider how big the Yetis are until they get into the city. And just when they're in their area, everything's built with their size in mind. But man, when they get in the city, like, even ones I thought were small were still huge. So that was very interesting. I'm glad they did that so you could really recognize how big they were. The Pac-Man scene was very awesome. I loved it. I'm always talking about chase scenes in movies and how, oh, we can't do without a motorcycle scene. This one had a snowmobile chase scene, and I think more movies should have snowmobile chase scenes. I know I said in Mission Impossible, more of them should have helicopter chase scenes, but snowmobiles, just as cool. Even if it is an animated movie. I am glad that the main character Smallfoot made the decision to keep his integrity. I can't talk at all today. I don't know what's going on. They definitely overdid the mind-blowing animation. I mean, how many times did they do that? Like 6 times, where they do the... Yeah, I got it. Like, the first time was fine. That one wasn't funny after the first time. I really, really like how they say the world is complicated and scary, but it's better than living a lie. And that is completely true. I mean, the world is extremely difficult, and life in general is difficult, but it's also very beautiful. And it's better than living not knowing. And, I mean, ignorance is bliss, but there's also beauty in learning new things. So, it's kind of, the more you know, the more chances you have to discover beautiful things. It's kind of like it takes suffering to really appreciate happiness. That's what I was going for. But anyways, this movie had a nice fun ending, and everything worked out, and I liked it. So, I mean, overall, great movie. Highly recommending it. Smallfoot. Gonna go on to the recommendation. This one's gonna be another animated movie, Big Hero 6. I know, this one's a recent movie, and from what I recall, it was fairly popular, but because it came out in 2014, but I just wanted to, it was on my list to recommend because I love this movie so much, and so I just wanted to go ahead and throw it in here since I'm already talking about an animated movie. This one's great. It's extremely fun, very funny, talks about teamwork, talks about doing the right thing, helping each other out, allowing yourself to be helped, or allowing others to help you, processing grief. I mean, it's got a lot of messages in this movie. The description is, robotics prodigy Hiro lives with his brother Tadashi and their robot Baymax, whose sole purpose is to take care of people. When a devastating turn of events throws Hiro into the middle of a dangerous plot, he transforms Baymax and his other friends into a band of high-tech heroes. And try not to spoil too much in this movie. Pretty much, there's a bad guy that they're trying to go against, and like it says, Baymax is the big white robot, and he's like a healing robot. Like, he's designed to make sure people are healthy. And so he has to kind of modify him to become sort of a weapon, and then he modifies their suit just so they can battle this bad guy, and it's very entertaining, and definitely go check it out. So Big Hero 6. That's gonna be it. We can go on to jokes and quotes. And I meant to tap on this, and then I forgot as I was walking over here. Like, I had my phone out and I saw something else and completely forgot. But that wasn't too bad. So when I found out my toaster wasn't waterproof, I was shocked. Alright. I keep looking over there just to see, because I'm wide out in the open. I don't like being out in the open when I record these things. My friend David lost his ID the other day, so now we just call him Dave. Alright. That wasn't too bad. I think I've said that quite a few times though. So the quote, some see a weed, some see a wish. And life is completely about perspective. And you can choose to look at things in a negative light and everything's going to be bad, or you can choose to look at the positive. And there's definitely a lot of bad things out there, but there's also a lot of good things. And just try your best to always look on the positive side. And I mean, I could go on with a million quotes about positivity, but because they keep popping up in my head, I want to say them, but at the same time, I'm like, I've probably said them in the past. But that's just a reinforcement that you can see whatever you want to see. If you pick up a dandelion and you see a weed and you're complaining about it, or you can see a wish and make a wish and hope for a bright future. So, the other quotes. You can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, and there's still going to be somebody who hates peaches. And that one's just to let you know you can't please everybody, and you're not meant to please everybody. And that's just part of life. Like the quote said, you can be the very best, and there's still going to be someone who's negative and hates it and whatever. That's fine, but don't let that weigh in on you. Don't let it weigh you down. That's just part of it. You have to go along with it. I mean, nobody's perfect, and there's always going to be someone that finds faults in everybody, and that's fine. That's just part of the world. But as long as you keep looking at the positive, like the previous quote said, you'll be fine. And just don't worry about them. Just keep moving on. That's going to be it for jokes and quotes. The Inside the Introvert. So I went to the fair with my friend, and we met up with another friend, and he had his parents there. And just out of conversation, I mentioned that when I go to the fair, I usually get a strawberry lemonade. And I mean, I haven't been to a fair, or been to the fair in a couple years probably, maybe 2 years, and which would be a couple. And so I don't know if that, what do you call it, the vehicle thing that makes them, I don't know if that was even going to be there. And I can't even remember if the last time I went, if it was there. And I had mentioned getting a candied apple. Well, they took it upon themselves to make sure that I found the strawberry lemonade thing. And it really wasn't that big of a deal. I had just brought it up in conversation. I was like, it's not like a do or die type of thing. But no, so we ended up walking the entire fairgrounds. Finally, I mean, they've got lots of lemonade things, but none of them say strawberry lemonade. And the one I get is amazing. Like, it's like handmade, pieces of strawberry in it. It's really, really good. But it definitely wasn't there. The one I used to go to was no longer at the fair, which is fine. I just was like, no big deal. But because we were walking around the entire thing, they finally found a some sort of lemonade thing that mentioned strawberry, and I ended up asking the lady, and she said they had a frozen strawberry thing. I was like, whatever, that's fine, I don't care. It was disgusting. It was essentially frozen strawberries and ice just blended together to make sort of a smoothie, but not even like a sweet smoothie. Like, it was just frozen strawberries. I mean, frozen strawberries on their own aren't overly sweet. And which it came in a stupid plastic cup, which ended up costing me like $6 or $7, which was way more than I wanted to spend, but I did it just because they were looking everywhere for me to get the the strawberry lemonade. And I ended up not buying a candied apple just because I'd spent so much on that stupid drink. Like, I wasn't planning on spending that much. So it was a very introverted thing. Like I said, I just mentioned that you can't please everybody, and I chose that action just to please them. But anyways, went to a comedy show a while back, and it was funny. This was the first like comedy club that I've been in, and I went with a friend, and we literally got to sit right at this edge of the stage. Like my feet were touching the stage. We were that close. It was cool. And the comedian we saw was Brad Williams. He's a midget comedian, and he's fairly well known. I've watched his stuff quite a bit. He's on Netflix and stuff. But so anyways, when we went in there, they had black lights. Well, I usually wear a bright orange shirt just because it's the one I got from the Tail of the Dragon, which is another motorcycle route. It's probably the #1 in the United States. And so I was like, it felt like I was putting off light. I was glowing so much because of the black lights. Like I didn't know it was going to be black lights, and it was just so bright. So I was worried about that. Like I was like, man, as soon as this comedian comes on stage, he's going to call me out, and this is going to be a major talking point, and I don't want that. Well, when his opener got on stage, they turn on the lights that are around the stage, so essentially the row right touching the stage gets lit up, which was cool because my shirt no longer glowed, but now they could see me. Everyone could see me. Like, I was very visible because I was the only one in that, we were the only row that was lit up, so the row around the stage was very visible. And the first comedian actually ended up calling my friend and I out because every time she'd look back, she wouldn't have just told a funny joke, or she wouldn't be at a punchline or something. So we weren't like dying laughing. I mean, I had never seen her before. I'm pretty picky on my comedians. And so she asked if we were high because we weren't laughing, and we just were like, yeah, a little bit. And just kind of went along with it, which she was funny. She had some funny jokes and everything. I mean, she was similar to Brad Williams, so I liked her and everything, but it was very, and then of course once we got called out, then I felt pressured to laugh because everyone could see us. So that was an introverted experience, which my friend was probably going through the same thing because he's an introvert like I am. So it was interesting. I want to say this just to get it out of the way because it actually I probably would have forgotten about it if I hadn't have seen it just now, but man, it was so bad. So I was working what we call a fun day at work, and we were trying to do it outside, which we tried to do the last one outside too, and it rained on us, so we had to do this one inside because it was raining. And essentially I was working, I know how to play the game, it's called Cube. It's like a combination of horseshoes and what's the other game? I don't know. You set up these blocks and throw these wooden batons, try and knock them over. It's a long game, but it's all right. They didn't give me anyone else in that side of the building, so I was running like 5-6 different games, and I had these stupid little plastic frisbee that I was trying to give out, and I had thrown one earlier and it flew pretty well, so I was fairly confident in my ability to throw the frisbee. So anyways, and she mentioned that I should throw them to people and stuff like that, so I go over and there's this guy that I kind of know, like I know of him, I just don't know him personally, and anyways, he's standing over there just criticizing the people that are throwing the batons and stuff, and he's not like joining in or showing off skills, he's just criticizing. So I thought it would be comical if I hit him with a frisbee. So I go to throw it, and when I do, I guess I put too much force behind it. It just goes right to the right at like a high rate of speed right at one of the players. And she like freaks out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So I was like, well, I want to show them what I was trying to do. So I end up a little bit lighter, throwing it at him. It still doesn't make it anywhere near it. He just kind of looks at it as it lands on the ground and looks back up. I was like, oh man, none of this is working, and all these people were looking at me. So I just calmly walked over, picked it up, and I was like, hey, you guys want a free frisbee? And handed it to him. I was like, I was trying to throw it to you, but I couldn't quite make it. And oh my gosh, it was terrible, and just thinking about it kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety, so it was not a pleasant time, extremely introverted, but it's over now, and now that this podcast is over, I will not be thinking of it any longer, because it does me no good. But that's going to be it for this podcast. Man, it is so pretty. We're going to take a minute, just look at this. course, it'd be better if I didn't have cars going by. Anyways, that's it for this episode. I put intro video on there. I don't know why I put that. But anyways, you can find all my videos on YouTube. Maybe I should mention this. I've got an introduction video, so it kind of tells you what the podcast is about. So if you're just tuning into this episode, you can listen to that and kind of know more. Episodes are on SoundCloud for a couple months until they fall off or I run out of room. I've got Instagram and Twitter. I just share funny pictures and stuff. I don't do a very good job of keeping that up, but they're out there. You can comment anywhere. If you want me to review a certain movie or look at a certain movie, feel free to do so. And that's going to be it. So take care of yourself because there's only one you out there.